I don't want to see that legacy of high standards ripped apart by the introduction of cheap, low-quality foods following our exit from the European Union. Britain has a brilliant diversity of growers, farmers and producers. Our rural communities define what it is to be British. Our rural landscapes are beautiful, but they're not frozen, they're working environments. Our rural areas are an inheritance that we pass to our children, and that is why the rules that govern our stewardship of farms, fields, rivers and hills and valleys are so important. But, Madam Deputy Speaker, before I make my argument, can I again declare an interest that my little sister is a sheep farmer in Cornwall, and I've been asked by my old man to add that he keeps a few chickens. I overlook the Pollard chicken coop at my peril, Madam Deputy Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, there is much in this bill that Labour supports. The move to public money for public goods is a philosophy that Labour backs. I am no fan of the Common Agricultural Policy, probably one of the few areas where me and the Secretary of State actually agree. The move to incentivise farmers to protect wildlife, enhance biodiversity and restore habitats is a good thing, something my party supports. At what pace and at what mix of payments is still to be determined in detail. How this will help smaller farmers, not just large producers, is still uncertain, but the direction of travel is one that I welcome. Farmers have been looking after the land for generations, and it's not if they should do so, but how that matters, especially as we scrutinise this bill further. But as my honourable friends for Weaver Vale and Battersea have said already, this bill is silent on the big promises the Prime Minister has made on standards. Indeed, this very morning, the Prime Minister promised the British people in his speech in Greenwich, "We will not accept any diminution in food hygiene or animal welfare standards." But this bill omits any legal guarantee to put those words into law. So many of the Prime Minister's promises have been broken, words twisted and responsibility shrugged off. For any of those promises to be believed, they must be enshrined in law. For the British public, for our farmers and for anyone we will be doing trade deals with in the future to see clearly. There must be no regression on standards, no undercutting of British farmers, no with food grown to poorer standards, with poorer animal welfare and with a more damaging environmental impact and poorer protections for workers. Give way to my friend.
Thank you, Honourable Friend, for giving way, and he's making a well-informed speech as he always does on these issues. But these aren't just the concerns of the official opposition or of other parties in this House. These are the concerns of organisations like the NFU, of the Land Farm Association. These are organisations that are naturally supportive of trying to bring about change to agriculture in this country. So it's not us asking for it. The government needs to really listen to what the NFU was saying, and indeed the FUW in the Welsh context, because these are genuine concerns and fears about the government reneging on what they committed to in their December 2019 manifesto.
I agree entirely with what my honourable friend has said. There is sometimes a temptation to believe just because a dodgy socialist at a dispatch box said it, it must be untrue. But there is an awful lot, apparently, of dodgy socialists out there now in order to do this. I give way to my dodgy socialist friend over the place.
I'm most grateful, and I don't for 1 second intend to suggest he's in any way dodgy, Madam Deputy Speaker. But doesn't he realise that the points the honourable member for Ogmore made are valid to him and are perfectly reasonable to bring forward as amendments? But of course, by choosing to oppose this bill, that will not be possible. No. Will he now withdraw his opposition to this bill so that he can make the amendments that he purports to want?
Madam Deputy Speaker, perhaps their whipping arrangements on the government side is somewhat flawed tonight, because with a majority of 80, this bill is going forwards, unless the Honourable Gentleman would like to join me on this side over here. If he is so worried about the future of this bill, he is welcome to express the serious and heartfelt concerns, as we've heard, not just of members of this side, but of organisations that work day in, day out with our agricultural communities, the concern that in improving our standards in the UK, we leave the door open for them to be undermined. That is not something that I can accept. Happy giving way.
Thank you for giving way. I understand what the honourable gentleman is saying, but does he accept that the farmers of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland have a commitment to deliver a high-quality product which they can sell over the world, and they have no intention of changing those regulations that are in place to ensure that that product continues to be delivered? And does he accept the comment from the Secretary of State in relation to the need for the devolved administrations to be part of that? They accept that they're being part of the regulations. That's very much the way forward.
I thank my honourable friend for that point, and indeed he's right. I don't think British farmers want lower standards. British farmers are proud of the standards they have, and we are proud of what they grow and how they grow it. It is the risk that, despite those high standards, that the door could be opened to lower cost, poorly produced food being imported underneath the high standards that we have. That is the concern, not just of myself, but of farmers as well. And that is why the importance of putting legal protection in this bill is so clear. So why is the Secretary of State not proposing legal protections that chlorinated chicken and hormone-treated beef won't be on sale in our shops, restaurants and takeaways? Why is she not insisting that our farmers' best practice is not undercut by US mega-agriculture? Why is she not upholding Britain's example on animal welfare her red lines that she refuses to cross? Few in this House, speaking frankly, believe the Secretary of State is going to last long in her job with the reshuffle coming up, so she had nothing to lose. She had nothing to lose in making the case to support our British farmers to stop them being undercut. And if she had done so, she would have been the farmer's hero, a protector of the environment, an upholder of promises to the electorate, someone that we could all be very proud of. But her silence on this issue, to leave out legal guarantees from this bill, points to one inevitable conclusion. That the promises made by the Prime Minister to uphold the standards are disposable. They are liable to be rejected and replaced at will to secure a bargain basement trade deal with Donald Trump and usher in a potential for chlorinated chicken, hormone-treated beef and more besides to be sold. And if they say that's not happening, why is it not in the bill? Why is it not in law on this point? Happy giving way.